Could you imagine, just imagine in your mind if you told people they couldn't vote next November? I think this is a lot harder for them to pull off than is generally think. I think there would be a genuine uprising in this country. I mean, like genuine.
Hey, now for our listener questions, James. Laura in Raleigh, North Carolina asks simply, what are your wishes for the Democratic Party when we win the next election? I assume she's talking about 26.
Basta enough. We're not even if we win. We seriously do have some power now. We clearly have the power to stop things, and we have the power to investigate. I would I would limit the number of investigations I have, but I would certainly have them, and I would take the one that delivers the most potency politically. I would certainly have hearings on veterans affairs, rural health care, that kind of stuff. But I'd be very selective and very strategic as to how you did it. Uh, if you were fortunate enough to get both houses, which if we can navigate this New York mayor's thing, I think I think we're going to win the House, and I think we would have an excellent chance in the Senate. I really do. I mean, if you look at when this did this Iran thing, there was some fear that he would be helped by it. And they came out right after it. It obliterated it, and you had, Joe Scarborough even coming out, and you had people saying, and then you would hear from Democrats, this is going to make him look strong. I know it's all bullshit, James, but it shows this: the public does not like this.
Right.
The public does not like this, and we have to remember, because you and I remember this like that, the frickin' Berlin Wall fell and no one gave a shit.
Right. No, that's true.
So even if they thought it was good, it wouldn't help him much, but they don't think it's good at all. And the other thing, there's a real split in the Republican Party. I mean, it doesn't show as much in their polling numbers, but the people that are speaking out against this, man, they're not backing off at all. At all.
Okay.
It's not good for him.
Our next, Ed in Atlanta, says, what's the deal with a wide split in so many of Trump's poll numbers? Is Real Clear Politics and our averages our best bet? I've actually grown a little more suspicious of averages because there's so many ideologically attuned polling, mainly on the right, but some on the left. Look, if you look at the poll, you look at ones you think are fairly decent. I think it's kind of clear. He's got an approval rating of, 44, 45, a disapproval rating of 52, 53. If anything, it's hardened among the MAGAs, and it's softened among those people who made the difference in electing him. And what's really remarkable is 5 months into this administration that has done so many incredible things, it ain't a whole lot different than it was in February. So maybe that's where we're going to be for a while.
I don't know. I have to go back and look, but the polls I trust are showing in more recent ones that he's clocking in under 44. And I'll say this about Real Clear Politics. I use it. I know those guys. I don't think that they publish anything erroneous, but they definitely lean right.
In their stories. I'm talking about looking at their polls.
The polls that they select to put in their average. Okay.
I know. Right. I agree. I don't pay any attention to the average.
Only as good as what you poll into it.
Right.
And I think these guys, would not change a number, but I think they'll have a looser criteria for right-leaning and greening polls. But
okay.
I'm skeptical of that stuff sometimes.
Patrick in Eugene, Oregon, asked you, James, Iran and Saudi Arabia are enemies. Is it possible Trump ordered the bombing in Iran as part of a real estate deal with the Saudi royal family?
Well, is it possible? Yeah. Hey, look, if we go back to the show last week, And I have a different view here. I think the big beautiful bill is in some kind of trouble, and I am not part of. Look, they always get it. Clinton got it. Reagan got it. Obama got it. Biden got it. Bush got
Yeah.
it. It's all true. This one is increasingly difficult, and I think the thing and I think Trump knows that, and Trump knows that Virginia and New Jersey are coming. I think there was. You've never convinced me there was not a political motivation that pushed him over the top on this decision. I think it backfired. I think it backfired. But Trump, the one thing he has primitive survival skills. All right, if he sees something, he'll try to alter it. And I think he saw the polling on this is bad. It's getting worse. It is going to get really bad. The more this thing sits out there, the more it stinks.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, and they got some problems. I'm not telling you, smart money would always bet that in the end they get it through. And I think Trump strategically did this so he could say to a Republican, "Your president is at war. You have an obligation to stand with him, and we can fix all this stuff later." The bargain is powerful. He knows he's in trouble. I think this thing is actually in trouble.
Hey, Megan, Vancouver, Canada says, why is Fox News so partisan? Was journalism always like this? Partisan journalism goes back to the founders. Fox began in the mid 90s as most conservatives were convinced the mainstream media had a liberal bias. They exaggerated that, but they were convinced of that. And Fox, with Rupert Murdoch, who is a genius, found a niche. They were going to be right wing, and they had been that way. Ultimately, MSNBC decided to be left wing. It's just that Fox has been more successful.
It's a weird thing, and of course, it's enormously successful. And Murdoch and Ailes identified a market,
Yeah.
no doubt about it. The most fascinating story I've read about Fox is after Tucker was fired. Tucker says that Murdoch called him and encouraged him to run for president. All right. I mean,
It was
the
also
hit.
encouraging Glenn Youngkin to run for president. So
I'm just.
Rupert had a number of candidates.
I don't think Tucker's lying.
I
I,
may
I
not may not be, but
may not.
I
I
know.
won't ever know. And it's not anything I'm going to spend much time trying to uncover
Yeah.
the real truth. But I just thought it was kind of a fascinating story. But and
Yeah,
they got a big judgment against them, but they are a juggernaut, to say the
they
least.
sure are. Tom, who says he's from Wandering Abroad, he says the Trump administration has run roughshod through political norms and paid little price. What legal and legislative reforms are necessary so the 2026 election actually occurs and 2028 goes to the Democrats? Good question, Tom.
Al, I got this a lot. I was at Chautauqua. And what happens if they call off the election? I gotta tell you, this is extreme. I think there are people in this country that would take a bullet. I mean, if he somehow or another tried to say it was martial law or did some kind of extra curricular way to get around this, if you say 5 or 6 million people showing up on, No King's Day, could you imagine? Just imagine in your mind if you told people they couldn't vote next November. I think this is a lot harder for them to pull off than is generally think. I think there would be a genuine uprising in this country. I mean, like genuine.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. John in Chicago, Illinois says our country has not had a fair and just tax code since at least 2001. I'm not sure it was fair and just then. Is it time to rewrite the tax code, and how would you set it up? Boy, you don't know how difficult that is, John. I thought the 86 Tax Act, which lowered rates a great deal and widened the base, closed loopholes. Donald Trump hated it. I thought that was the closest we came. but it didn't take long for the vested interests to get in there and open up those loopholes. You can make it fairer. You're not going to get the kind of tax code that we all wish we had.
Yeah, our dear friend Senator Bradley said it was like ants coming into the kitchen. They would just find a way. So, he knew that when he authored and he and Congressman Gephardt and President Reagan signed that whole act, which took a lot of work and a lot of sweat and a lot of everything, and of course, it was all good things that happened. It was in the end, it was probably for naught. But
Yeah, it was.
a good teaching lesson, I can tell you that. And they would like to, get rid of the income tax, which is to me the greatest tax ever devised by the
Oh,
mind of man.
Mike in Centerport, New York. Ask you, James, should we sell more and better weapons to Israel with a goal of letting them handle things themselves?
Well, we've sold gazillions of weapons to Israel. We have given Israel, I don't know how many $1 billion in aid over history, particularly since the Camp David Accord, in Accords in 1979. We provided Israel with the Iron Dome, which President Obama did. Okay, so let's be very clear. We have a lot of skin in the Israel game here, and as I'm told, Netanyahu does not advise us. He does what he wants. And his attitude is, we're a sovereign state. We'll protect our own interests. All that may or may not be true, but the state of Israel exists because President Harry Truman supported the right for the state of Israel to exist. It is then the United States is very close ally, and we've contributed a lot to the state of Israel. And I think that we deserve at least some consultation on their military and foreign affairs. You got to do what you can to protect yourself, but you shouldn't do anything to hurt the interests of the United States either.
Well, Bibi doesn't care about that, I'm afraid, Bibi
Yeah, tell
Netanyahu,
the
but
truth. Yes, citizen.
in the event.